Today we are talking about Satan, the devil, the enemy, Old Scratch, the Prince of Darkness, Old Harry, Beelzebub, Mephistopheles, El Diablo, Boogie Boogie, the man downstairs, Lucifer, the son of perdition, Old Rip. You know, Satan. Let's get to it. Hey Internet, my name is Jeff and I'm a pastor. Over the last couple of weeks I've been doing a series, I've been teaching a series here at the church about Christian buzzwords or words that we use a lot as Christians that we don't necessarily explore the meaning of very often. And last week we talked about Satan, and it was a very interesting discussion, so I wanted to bring it here naturally. So let's talk about Satan and what exactly we mean by Satan, because let's face it, we've got some baggage when it comes to Satan. Maybe we grew up in a certain setting where people were always blaming the devil for things. Or maybe we've just gotten so used to this sort of caricature with red tights and a pitchfork that we don't necessarily know what we even mean by Satan anymore. So let's talk about the words that the Bible uses for Satan. And let's talk about how exactly we can have maybe a more helpful understanding of who or what Satan is. So first, the words that the Bible uses for Satan. One, conveniently, is Satan. And the other one is diabolos in Greek. Now, Satan was a courtroom term, a legal term. It literally meant accuser. So this would be the one who would accuse someone of something in a legal proceeding, blame someone for something in a legal proceeding. And the word devil just literally means something like slanderer. So we have accuser and slanderer. Those are the word pictures behind the words that the Bible actually uses for this being or this entity, Satan. Now, something important needs to be said about how the Bible talks about Satan, and it's that there is no uniform image or uniform understanding for who or what Satan is. So just for example, if you look at the beginning of Job, you find that God is sitting around with God's board of directors. So first of all, God apparently has a board of directors, according to one understanding of who God is. And on this board of directors is somebody who is referred to as Satan or the Satan, basically the accuser. And this accuser says to God, hey, God, you've got this dude, Job. Job seems to be very righteous and great and wonderful. He's always making sacrifices to you, but I'm pretty sure that it's just because you do an awful lot for him. And so God says, go do whatever's in your mind to do. So apparently, according to one understanding of Satan in the Bible, Satan has a seat on God's board of directors. Right? So that's just one understanding of Satan. And then if you look at other passages, they present something very different. So just pause this video in a second and read Matthew chapter 4, verses 1 through 11. If you've got a Bible handy, again, Matthew 4, 1 through 11. If you don't have a Bible handy, just head on over to Bible Gateway and read Matthew 4, 1 through 11. And then we'll talk about it in just a second. But first, let's pause. Okay, welcome back. This is one of the accounts of Jesus being tempted in the wilderness by Satan. And notice a couple of things here. Satan is actually tempting Jesus to do something kind of good, isn't he? I mean, he's tempting Jesus to make bread out of stones. What's wrong with making bread? What's wrong with feeding people? Or to establish some sort of rule over all the nations? Well, doesn't that seem to be Jesus's stated goal in some parts of the Gospels? So what exactly is going on here? Well, what's going on here is that you find that one understanding of this Satan figure, one understanding of who or what Satan or the devil or any of those other names is somebody who tempts us to do something good, but in the wrong way. Or maybe somebody who tempts us to do something that seems like a really good idea, might even have some scriptural basis for it, because did you notice that Satan seems to be really good at quoting the Bible at Jesus? Might be tempting us to do something good, but in a way that's beneath us in some ways. There's this other passage that you can take a look at. It's later in the Gospel of Matthew. It's Matthew chapter 16, verses 21 to 23. And basically, Jesus has been foretelling his death to his disciples, and one of his disciples, named Peter, says, No, this is never going to happen. May it never be. And Jesus says to this guy, Peter, "Get behind me, Satan." So apparently, one of the other ways that the Bible understands who Satan is, or presents us with who Satan is, or what Satan is that sometimes it's in the form of other people. Again, people who are trying to drag us down or be something that's beneath us. So look, once again, the Bible doesn't have any sort of uniform understanding of who or what Satan is. Sometimes it seems to be talking about Satan as somebody who sits on God's board of directors. Sometimes it presents Satan as this very anthropomorphized figure, very human-like figure who is tempting Jesus. Or sometimes Satan can be speaking to us through the accusations or the words of another person. But I think that one of the most helpful, at least recently for me, one of the most helpful images or understandings of who Satan is or how Satan functions comes from somebody named Nadia Bolz-Weber. Nadia Bolz-Weber is an author and a speaker. She's great. Buy her books, read them, they're wonderful. Check her out on YouTube, she's great, she's wonderful. But she was at a preaching conference one time, and she said that she was stealing this from Martin Luther, because that's what happens with pastors and religious types. That's what we do. I'm stealing from her, she stole from Martin Luther. Anyway, there are these passages that talk about God throwing our sins into a sea of forgetfulness, or forgetting our sins, or throwing away our sins. And the way that Nadia Bolz-Weber put it was that she hasn't seen any figure in red tights with a pitchfork or any sort of serpent-like figure lingering in the corners. But she's definitely heard a voice in her mind that sounds like it's been going through God's garbage. Sometimes this is what Satan is, or how Satan functions. Sometimes it's the voice in your mind that is constantly accusing you, telling you that you're not good enough, you're not holy enough. It's reminding you of mistakes that you may have made 20, 30, 40 years ago, and it's still punishing you for them, or convincing yourself to punish yourself. It's bringing up the names that you were called in middle school that somehow still sting when you hear them. Bottom line, it's convincing you, trying to convince you that you are someone that you're not. It's trying to convince you that you're someone who is beneath who you actually are, which is a beloved and forgiven child of God that has not earned that status, but has just been given it to you graciously. That's who you are. And anything that's bringing up old dirt or sounds like it's been digging through God's garbage of thrown out sins, well, that just might be the actual voice of Satan. All right, that's it for this week. Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, click like. Feel free to leave some comments. I don't know, maybe in the comments just write down your favorite nickname for Satan. Personally, I was a big fan of Old Harry. I didn't know that one until I Googled nicknames for Satan just before I started filming this video. Anyway, leave a comment, click subscribe because that would be very helpful for me, and click the bell so that you will get a handy notification right on your device so that you know for certain the next time that I release a video as soon as it happens. And that's it for this week. Thanks everybody. Grace and peace.